In this video, I'm going to show you a few different basic watercolor techniques. So you're going to need your watercolor palette, you'll need some brushes, as well as 2 cups of water. So 1 cup of water is going to be for cleaning your brush, and the 2nd cup of water, which is the colored cup here, is what you always want to keep clean. That's the water you use in your watercolor palette. So I have a paper here with the different techniques written down, and I'm going to start with a wash. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to the colors I'm planning to use. That helps loosen them up a little bit. And then I'm really gently tapping the color to put it onto my brush. So I'm not scooping that color. It should be really watery and transparent. So you can see as I'm creating this wash here, where the watercolor puddles, it's actually darker. That's what you want. If it looks like a solid color all the way across, then you probably need more water. So continue practicing making washes until you're really comfortable with it. So here I'm going to create a value scale. So I'm going to start with that same sort of light purple that I did before, but now I added some more water to my brush, and that you can see makes it that same color lighter. So if you want your color to be lighter, more transparent, just use more water. If you want your color to get darker, just use a little bit less water. But you can see with all of these, they're still transparent. So where that watercolor is puddling, it still looks darker. So you always want to make sure that your watercolor still is a little bit see-through and it doesn't start to get too gummy or sticky. That means you need more water. So the next technique I'm going to try is a glaze. So I'm starting again with that sort of medium purple, and then there's going to be a second part, but I'm going to come back and let that glaze dry a little bit first. So for a gradient, I'm trying to get 2 colors to blend together. So I put my first color down on the paper, and then I'm going to use sort of a turquoisey blue color next. So I'm putting it right next to the other one, and then I'm letting them touch. And my paper started to dry, so I'm going to add a little bit more water, that clean water on top, to get those colors to mix together. And then I can even add some more of the purple again. And you can see those 2 colors start to blend together. And I'm just using my brush to kind of smooth it around and get it where I want. Now if you want to take away color, just dry your brush and run it across the paper, and that actually takes away color if you make a mistake. But here I just blended it back together to make my nice smooth gradient from one color to the next. For wet and wet, you wet your paper first, and then you can drop on some color. So you can see that my paper is wet underneath, so that watercolor just starts to spread and move around on its own. But I can go in and adjust it if necessary with my brush. So I'm going to try that again, but instead of just using clear water, this time I'm going to start with that purple color, and I've kind of created my own gradient here, and now I'm dropping in some of that turquoise color right on top, and I can go back, add a little more purple if I want, and just see how that color starts to move and spread on its own. So wet and wet is really fun, and the color will only spread in the areas where that paper is wet underneath. So now I'm going to go back and finish my glaze here. So I'm going to use that turquoise color, and I'm putting the turquoise on top of the purple. But this time you can see that those colors do not blend together because I gave that paper time to dry. So that purple was completely dry before I did that layer of glaze on top. Now be careful, if you go back and forth or have too much water for the turquoise, that purple will start to bleed. So last thing, I'm just adding one more wash for good measure for practice, and that's it.